all I've ever wanted is to be a real hero.
You're one of us. We need you.
You ready for the next adventure, pal? I'm gonna pretend you found that.
What if the people you thought were gone forever were waiting for you in another dimension? And what if the greatest enemy you'd ever face was yourself? Peacemaker Season 2 opens with that exact nightmare, and a shocking twist that changes everything. Welcome back to Review, the channel where we break down cinema and television with depth, passion, and a cinematic lens. Today, we're diving into the Season 2 premiere of Peacemaker, James Gunn's twisted, hilarious, and surprisingly emotional series. This first episode is filled with multiverse madness, raw grief, biting humor, and one of the most shocking cliffhangers in the DC Universe so far. Before we begin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Review, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming deep dives into the DCU and beyond. Season 1 of Peacemaker shocked audiences by transforming a side character into one of the most compelling antiheroes on television. John Cena proved he was more than just the muscle. He delivered humor, vulnerability, and depth. Season 2 raises the stakes immediately. The opening is almost poetic. In the dead of night, Eagly wakes Chris, leading him outside into the falling snow. That single image, Chris Smith trudging into the cold darkness, sets the tone for everything that follows. Inside his father's quantum-folded armory, Chris stumbles upon something unsettling. Strange doors to other dimensions, helmets he has never seen, and then the impossible. An alien emerges, casually incinerating a rodent, as if life itself means nothing in this endless multiverse. The armory isn't just a set piece. It reflects Chris's psyche. Violent, chaotic, filled with doors he doesn't fully understand. And as Eagly nudges him deeper inside, Chris steps through a door he should never have opened. There, in a trophy room, he hears a familiar voice. Augie Smith, his father, alive and speaking warmly. And worse, his brother Keith, the boy Chris accidentally killed as a child. Alive and waiting. The series wastes no time. Within minutes, it lays bare Chris's guilt, his trauma, and the ghosts that refuse to let him go. One of the biggest questions before this season was simple. How does Peacemaker fit into James Gunn's brand new DCU? The answer is both clever and seamless. Instead of bogging us down with heavy exposition, the series uses a simple device, previously in the DCU. With that, Peacemaker's world is reframed, as if he had always belonged here. This trick not only smooths over continuity, but also allows for quick cameos, like David Cornsweet's Superman and Millie Alcock's Supergirl. Silent but powerful, their presence reminds us that Peacemaker is no longer a fringe player. He's standing alongside titans. Of course, Chris being Chris, he wants recognition. He wants to be a hero. That desire leads to one of the funniest and most painful sequences in the episode. His Justice Gang interview. Behind glass, Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Maxwell Lord mock him mercilessly. Nathan Fillion, Isabella Merced, and Sean Gunn deliver biting comedy as their characters laugh at his expense, making it clear that they see Chris not as a hero, but as a murderer. For Chris, this rejection cuts deep. It sets the stage for the central conflict of the season. Is Peacemaker a hero, a villain, or something caught in between? Multiverse storytelling often gets lost in its own complexity, but Gunn avoids that trap. Instead of infinite universes, he introduces the quantum unfolding chamber, a device that opens dimensions tied directly to Chris's past. And in this dimension, Chris's father and brother are alive. Not memories, not visions, living, breathing people. For Chris, Keith's death was the wound that defined him. Forced into a childhood fight by Augie, one punch killed his brother, a tragedy that scarred him forever. But here, Keith lives. Augie is warm, even kind. For a moment, Chris glimpses a family he never truly had. This is psychological warfare. Gunn forces Chris to ask the question, if you could undo your greatest mistake, would you? And what would it cost? The answer becomes terrifying when Chris meets someone worse than any villain, himself. The premiere's most shocking moment arrives when Chris faces his alternate self, fully suited, weaponized, and merciless. This other Peacemaker embodies everything Chris fears: brutality, rage, and the inability to change. Their fight is savage. Magic stars tear into Chris's back. The two versions tumble through the portal, fists and rage colliding. It isn't just a physical battle. It's symbolic. Chris is literally at war with the darkest parts of himself. The battle ends with brutal irony. Our Chris impales the doppelganger on a ceiling satellite, killing him. But in doing so, he symbolically kills a version of himself, the part of him that may never find peace. It's raw, violent, and deeply human. And it leaves a haunting question. If you were forced to face yourself, would you survive? While Chris wrestles with dimensions and doppelgangers, the supporting cast faces struggles of their own. Emilia Harcourt is spiraling. Once Amanda Waller's trusted agent, she's now blackballed, bitter, and drowning in grief. Her bond with Chris flickers in the background, unresolved, painful, and tender in fleeting moments. Leota Adebayo is starting over, breaking free from her mother's shadow. She's opened a security firm but carries heartbreak from a broken engagement. Rick Flag Sr., played with menace by Frank Grillo, looms over everything. His son's death haunts him, and his vendetta against Peacemaker makes the threat deeply personal. Even Vigilante and Economos have been knocked down. Vigilante works as a busboy, desperate for Chris's attention, while Economos remains stuck under surveillance duty. What ties them together is this: every character is fractured. Every one of them is grieving or rebuilding. It mirrors Chris's journey and makes the season not just about multiverse chaos, but about fragile human identity. The episode closes with devastation. After surviving the fight with his alternate self, Chris is left broken. But then comes the reveal. In this dimension, Chris kills himself. The sequence is surreal. Sitting with Keith and Augie, sharing drinks, Chris experiences the warmth of a family he never had. But that illusion collapses when he faces his doppelganger again. The fight turns fatal. Chris's alternate self tears him apart, forcing him to confront the darkest truth of all. His greatest enemy isn't out there. It's him. The screen cuts, leaving us with a cliffhanger that isn't just shocking. It's devastating. Peacemaker Season 2 doesn't just return with laughs and action. It returns with heartbreak, surreal twists, and a reminder that sometimes the people we fear most are versions of ourselves. James Gunn once again mixes absurd comedy with gut-wrenching humanity. John Cena delivers what may be his most powerful performance yet, balancing humor with raw emotion. So let me ask you this: if you came face to face with another version of yourself, would you fight them or would you forgive them? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Review, hit the bell icon, and stay tuned for our next deep dive into the DC Universe. Until then, this is Review signing off.